Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Excel TV. Gosh, there's a whole lot going on in episode 47. Probably didn't think you'd see us back because what the hell? We have a way of not finishing stuff. Shit. But anyways, how the hell you doing there, Jordan?
Oh, I'm great. This is Jordan Goldmeyer, J Lookup in Brooklyn, New York. As you can see, it's a nice freezing, I guess you can't see that it's freezing, but this is a great freezing New York day. And I am happy to be here to talk Excel. Hey, we got Oz here. Oz, how are you?
I feel good in the motherfucker. I feel right in the motherfucker. And pass this thing on to Alex.
Jordan, I just want to say I appreciate your skyline view there in New York. It looks fantastic. I also want to say on behalf of the Excel community, welcome back, guys. We have missed you guys for so long. I can speak personally. Whenever I first kind of saw an Excel TV episode, I was like, holy shit, like people like this exist. Very interesting characters, personalities. People had like differing opinions. It was really kind of taking the people that were on the pages and turning them into real life figures. So I treat each and every one of you like kind of baseball cards. You know, I love it. So welcome back.
Thank you. Whenever you say people like this exist, you really mostly mean Oz, right?
I mean, Jordan's got this new hipster haircut, so I'm digging it.
Here we go.
That's great.
All right, just bringing it in. So anyway, hello everyone. My name's Rick, not RickRatham.com, the chief analytics guy over at BI Brains. This episode number 47, is brought to you by Chicago Cubs shoes, Perdomo cigars, the number 5, Miller Lite beer, and any team playing Tom Brady.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
Got this
that.
nice Alec Bradley Black Market cigar. Oh yeah,
All right.
Well, wait, is that like what makes that black market?
it's the name of it.
Okay, so it's not like illegal or something. It's not.
It's the actual.
I'm a good Christian man. Come on, Ned.
You're right. And this is a good Christian show. So that's a great segue into. I'm going to show all of you. This is a little show and tell. I'm going to show this to everyone out in TV land. I got this little bag of goodies from. I was making dumb puns on the Facebook Microsoft Excel page, and then they said, "Wow, you were so great. We're going to send you a box of swag." So I got this box in the mail, and we're going to do an unpacking here. Everyone, you should go participate because you might be the great owner of this Excel Everyday tumbler. This is good for iced coffee. I have this. My recipe is iced coffee and rum.
It'd be good for that Bush beer you're drinking there, Alex.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? College? Is that PBR you got next?
Right?
It's river water, man. It's like the finest.
No.
Yeah. Better than that Miller Lite. Then you can. I got this. Look at this. This thing's crazy.
That's pretty nice.
Right? So keep water cold, I assume. I mean, it's it's what these do. Then they gave me 2 of these things, like for your phone. If only anyone would call me. All right. I got this T-shirt. Man, they really I feel like they just like went back there and they on the shelf and they just like dumped into a box like that. Just like their arm and dragged it across. I got these great glasses. Look at this. VLOOKUP. I don't even know what that says. VLOOKUP like a boss. Oh, Alex, you of course have these. Alex, you sent me that box of swag too, and I feel like it had a lot of this shit in it. I got this Vizio patch. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. That I don't even know. So I just wanted to show you guys that and a bunch of stickers. This is crazy. All I did was never have my dumb jokes gone so far, ladies and gentlemen.
That's really the end of the sentence there. Never have your dumb jokes gone so far.
No, That's it. I never thought they'd
Period.
oh,
Period
well.
at the end of that. Okay. Well, Alex, my gosh, welcome to the show. First heard about you almost immediately after our first few episodes, where I started getting texts from Jordan where he says, "Hey, this guy texted us, is telling us everything we're doing wrong. He's a lot like me." And I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
Did he tell you about the first time I reached out to Jordan?
Oh yeah, he did. Let's go ahead and relive that for a moment. What happened? What happened?
So let me preface this. I was like, man, there's a whole thing called like MVPs, and you guys had the episode about how to become an MVP. So I was like, man, I'm gonna check out some of these MVPs, and I land on Jordan's page, and he had a spelling error. I was like, holy crap. I was like, I don't think this MVP knows that he's got a spelling error. So I shot him a message on Twitter, and he's like, hey, fuck you. Just leave it be.
Wait,
like,
no.
It was pretty vulgar.
That's exactly what you told me you said, Jordan.
I
believe his story.
don't think I said it in so many words, but I think that was the message. I can't defend it. Look, the best I'll say is there's so many people when you start in this space who are like, oh, you messed this up and you messed that up. You know, it was like my father and my ex-father-in-law. You know, I'd written this article and he had sent me this thing like, oh, you misspelled this word on here. I don't want people to think you're an idiot. You know, and the things like I have dyslexia, so I misspell words all the time. And so there's so many errors and so much of my stuff that I'm just like, I don't even care if it's there anymore. So I think he wrote me and I was just like, don't care.
Yeah.
And then I felt bad. I apologized later, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all good. You know,
are we?
River water under the bridge. We're fine.
Right.
Well, here's how you know whether or not it's good or not. It took you another 30 episodes to get onto the show.
Oh, ouch.
No, but I asked you sooner. I know that I wanted you on sooner, but this was the right moment. This was it.
So anyway, Alex, would you mind telling us a little bit about It's Not About the Sell, your website, and how that all came to be?
Yeah. So it really came to be from the MVP episode that you guys had, where it was like, start giving back to the community. You got to lend a voice. You got to have something out there for people to kind of latch onto and know your name. So I really wanted to kind of write a blog about Excel and kind of this weird space that I see, like pop culture. And, you know, I really like traditional, boring, dry books, but I don't think that everybody does. So I don't blame them for not wanting to go through that painful experience. So I wanted to put it through kind of that millennial filter. A lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. I'll kind of like put in perspective here, like going back a little bit in the timeline. You guys had sent me to a boot camp down in Texas for Mike Alexander, and it was Data Pig Technologies. And
like won a contest or something, right?
Yeah. One of you guys' contests. So I went on there, and he kind of showed Power BI, Power Query, Power Pivot, like all these new power tools. And I was just like sitting there in my chair, and I was like, holy shit, like I see the future. Maybe it's not there right now, but I can kind of see where it's going. And at that point, I'll be honest, like I struggled with like writing content. Am I just going to be like the millionth VLOOKUP article that's thrown on the stack of VLOOKUP articles, or am I going to effectively help change the community? You know, I look at the stuff that Oz does and kind of Ken Pulls does in the Power Query space. Like they're really championing that. But they're not teaching VLOOKUP anymore. We got to move on. Like we're moving on kind of as a collective community. So that's like the deep kind of look in the mirror. Like, are you adding and contributing, or are you just holding the community back? So that was an honest assessment of my blog. So gotcha. I mean, at this point, we're moving forward.
So guys, just take yourself off of mute whenever you're ready to talk. And I'm going to assume, Oz, you have a point to make or a question?
No, I just appreciate that. That's how I think is, you know, I was talking with somebody today about YouTube, and there is growing an audience and growing it huge and fast by paying attention to the algorithm and keywords. And people are looking for VLOOKUP, COUNTIFs, compare lists. And, you know, if I were to go by that, maybe I would have a channel that's bigger, but I don't think I'd also be an MVP. When I do video, when I make content, I'm thinking, what am I adding? What, you know, there's this broader body of knowledge. Okay, let me do a dynamic arrays quiz. Let me do a joins quiz. Help people add something.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, whenever people were asking me, who do you recommend, I would always send them to your LinkedIn series. I was like, this guy is funny. You're going to have fun watching this guy's videos. And everybody comes back and like, I actually learned something and I laughed the entire time.
That dude just come out in a samurai outfit?
Yeah, I sent so many. Can I tell you, Oz? Like, I go places and they go, "Have you met Oz?" Like, they're like, "What's your name again?" I'm like, "Jordan." I'm like, "Oh," and then they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Excel." They're like, "Oh, you should meet this great guy, Oz. He's so funny."
Oh my!
What am I? Chopped liver?
Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, I would like, you know, the thing is, it's interesting you say that, Alex, because So like, I didn't put a lot of content out the last few years, and I really just felt like I felt the tension. I felt Microsoft just kind of pulling, like they want more Power BI stuff. And I really wasn't motivated by it. In fact, like if you look at like our first episode coming back, what I did was like my old bread and butter. And I had to have my own moment, like, am I going to move into this Power BI space? And the truth is, this may be sacrilegious to say, but I think Power BI is kind of boring. I don't know. It doesn't get me out of bed. I like making my charts the hard way. Power BI is just like, it's just like, ugh, I don't know. Just drag and drop.
Peltier.
Yeah, right? No, I mean, for real. Like, I get it.
So, I mean, I'll kind of come back with you. I mean, I had the same thing where I was like, holy crap, do I have to go try and learn this whole new platform? As like an Excel power user, it was very easy to kind of shift over there. Maybe like one or two new like concepts you need to kind of wrap your head around in terms of like relational modeling. But you do lose some of that creativity with their out of the box like visuals and things like that. And I think that's where the sandbox of Excel is like so exciting. Like you literally can build anything in Excel. Where Power BI, they have the rules and restrictions, which are like good and bad. If you're like a Stephen Few kind of guy, we're like, listen, you need to have rules. You can't just make everything a pie chart and hope that it turns out all right on the 100th item. But I don't want to get too stuck up on like Power BI because really, if you're an Excel power user at some point, you may get pulled in that direction, and it is very seamless to kind of get started.
So I see a lot right now on Facebook and other platforms that you're on, where it seems though you're giving presentations or trainings on M. Would you mind talking a little bit about your journey from where you started, where people who are watching right now who may be beginning their journey in Excel, like where did you start? Were you a report writer in Excel, and then how did you kind of traverse all the way to where you're now teaching and making money from your knowledge of the tool?
I think 9 times out of 10, the best Excel users are going to start their story with I was in a call center.
Right. So, yeah. That's me and Oz.
Yeah. So you start out in the call center and you're like, all right, I'm just going to record some things over here in the spreadsheet. After a while, you like start accumulating a pretty big list. You're like, well, now I'm going to, I don't know, do a count of it. And you figure out how to write a count formula. And you're like, holy crap, like this is amazing. And then you start moving on to the next thing. From the first day until the day I learned how to use tables was probably like 4 years. In retrospect, had to learn how to just build a table object the first day, I would have been so much further down the road. Mm-hmm. But it was like every step of the way, people could see that I was like trying and I was working hard to be better at it. So they were like, oh, you can do that thing. Well, maybe you can do this thing. And you're like, well, I don't know how to do that thing, but I'll figure it out. And that's where like every time somebody challenges you and you get better at in Excel, like extremely rewarding. And, I'll kind of like put it on like the timeline here. I was doing really well in Excel and I kind of came across your guys' content and I was like, holy crap, like there were some insanely good people. So I found like Charles Williams. I found all these different people that were pushing the limits of the application to like, I'm doing time series analysis based on the calculation engine, why I wrote my own user-defined function, how I did all these other weird things. I'm like, this is insane, but this is the level of aspiration I want to kind of get to. Mm-hmm. I did have Jordan's book. I don't have it with me right now, but he's kind of like an old soul that is like very awesome when you look at like building from like a building standpoint, like application development, not just simply, hey, here's like a cool sheet. No, here's why you should do true false. Here's why you should do this. Performance issues at the very end. I think Rob Cowley maybe alluded to this too, is like if your report takes more than 3 seconds to generate it, it's not worth looking at. So calculations got to be smooth. They got to be fast. But that was like also at a weird time as I went into a reporting analyst role. I was working in a spreadsheet sweatshop, as I like to call it, where you're just pumping out content and you're pumping out numbers without really much meaning. And it really was like a struggle for me to be like, what story are we trying to tell? What thing do you want people to do by looking at this report? And that was like just a really rough patch to try and fall back in love with Excel, because at that point it was just you were grinding through it without really much benefit.
But how'd you get from the call center to there?
Just everybody put a challenge in front of me. Okay. You learn your VLOOKUP. Next thing you know, you learn an index match. Next thing you know, you learn about a nested function, an array. You learn how to build a chart based on a John Peltier tutorial that you came across.
So did you were you like chosen and said, "Come here, you're special, my son," or did you apply for a job, or what happened?
Uh, People saw that I was trying, and
Okay.
then word got out like, "Hey, this guy's good at Excel." Like, "Oh, we're working on this project. Do you think he could help?"
Yeah.
A really good manager. I showed him a report. In hindsight, it wasn't anything special, but he was excited about that report, and he said yes. How
Mhm.
many people have been put in front of you that said, "No, we don't want to change it. Like that's the way it's always been done." So like we're kind of afraid to change that Excel sheet. He said yes though, and like
Yeah.
that was the rocket. Like strap it on my back. We're off to the races
Wow.
now.
Wow.
But I was also like a VBA code pounder for a minute there. I don't even write it anymore.
Mhm.
Like
What? No,
not at
don't.
all. Not at all. I
That's
would probably say 1% of my time a year is dedicated to VBA.
Honestly, I don't actually do it a lot anymore either. I just don't have a chance to do it. But I always love like when I have a project with it.
Yeah.
So we actually had a question in the chat, Alex.
Yeah.
Which book of mine you were referring to? So I don't know. So I wrote back that Essentials was 9 chapters from Dashboards, but
Yeah.
for their information, which one was the one that you got?
It was Advanced Excel Essentials, right?
That's the better one.
Yeah. Yeah. A press. Fantastic book.
Yeah.
A lot of misspellings though.
There are some. I agree. No, there's some real copy editing. Drives me nuts. It really does.
Oh, yeah. So that's go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question. You and I kind of have like a very similar blogging philosophy, and I think Oz does as well about not, like you said, doing the next VLOOKUP article. I know, Oz, you don't necessarily have a problem doing the old stuff, but you always like kind of reapply it so that people get it. So in thinking about the name of your site, like it's not about the cell, like what does that mean?
It's about the creativity that goes into it, and possibilities and potential that can come out of it. So it's are you going into this with imagination of what could be, not just what is. You'll see a lot of workbooks that are just like 40 sheets long, and none of them like it should come with like a Temple of the Hidden Legend like guide to get you through to the end maze. Like it's just a nightmare to try and navigate through. I'll give the unpopular opinion: 3 sheets and you should be out. And even with that data, you can load a Power Query visualization layer, just a straight up spreadsheet, and then your calculation engine, which is now Power Pivot. Like you could realistically be in and out of an Excel sheet with less than 1 sheet.
That's true.
Yeah.
Gotta love that efficiency.
So what brought you from working in an Excel sweatshop to training? I mean, where was your next jump there?
I always like mentoring people, and I always like if I could see like that itch in someone, or like, hey, this will benefit me in my life, or this will lead to a job promotion. Like I'm all about that. The more you dedicate yourself to this tool, the more you'll get out of it. That is just like a real hard fact. Like people love Excel. 1.7 billion people out there. Nobody is getting rid of it.
Yeah, I'm hoping Oz jumps in on this a little bit as well. But I noticed in the last maybe year, 2 years or so, you've done a lot more on video. You've done a lot more kind of jumping on and doing Facebook Lives, et cetera, kind of sometimes even for an hour, and just showing people, hey, let's start from the very scratch and to just take something the entire way through. What was your motivation for doing that? And how has that been successful for you or not? What have you learned along the way?
Video content is fun. Never getting to a place where you're having to edit more than you're creating. I think the more that you can engage with people in real time, the more that they'll get out of your content, and the more that you'll get out of it too. Like there's the amount of people that I'm meeting across the world. Shout out to Raheem from Excel Basement, but the fact that people in Pakistan enjoy me or my content and like saying hi during the middle of a stream is like, that's amazing. Like I would have never otherwise had that opportunity.
Oz calls him ladies' dream, Raheem.
Oh yeah, Raheem, the ladies' dream. Yeah. But I tell you, I hated writing a blog, but I liked sharing knowledge. Huh?
Yep.
Well,
I agree.
And the thing is, I miss the writing, but dealing with WordPress is what would make me crazy. Just trying to get an image lined up and have the text wrap around it and not have the bullet points on top of the image. And then I'm over at the WordPress website trying to get help and then get bitched out by developers about how I need to be doing it in the CSS. And say, God damn it. But my videos take a minimum of 6 hours up to about 20 hours. And it feels like a straight path.
Yeah.
If I'm going to put this arrow in, line some music up, take the music out, whatever I'm doing, I'm always moving forward toward the end. Whereas with the back end of a blog, it's all written and I got my image, but the stuff is all screwed up. Now I got to take this detour and wait for somebody to maybe answer. So that's one thing I've liked about video is I'm in control of what's happening. I have control of how much creativity I want to put in. And I've had a lot more fun. It's a lot more engaging. I get to, put on costumes and get props and mess with the mood when I'm going to show something. How did I feel? Did I feel like, oh, got it? How did I feel like subtle? We got to romance this thing. We can't muscle it. So then I can say, okay, now I need music for, or I need music for, and every week is a new thing.
I feel so seduced right now.
Hey, you should, because it's working, right? So last weekend, I crossed the 10,000th subscriber mark for my channel, and it's been slow. And I'm just really appreciative because when I shifted, you go back and look at my earlier videos, they were the dry, disembodied head, get in, get out. Those still do get more views because I understand somebody at work, they don't want to sit through some 7-minute movie of mine. They want some 3-minute, show me this stuff so I can get back to work. I'm no longer that guy. That stuff was not fun for me. But that stuff is easier to search and whatnot. So it's taken about 3 years to get to 10,000 viewers and 10,000 subscribers. And it's like a true community. They're a lot more engaged. Yeah, those old simple ones, they get way more views. Those people don't even click the thumbs up. They don't comment, nothing. They get an answer and they're gone. I said, damn, am I that cheap? Well, but yeah, I've liked video so much.
So Oz, for me, it kind of comes back to like community.
Yeah.
You guys fostered an incredible one. Jordan, you used to be active on RXL. Hopefully you will be in the future. Oz, I've been yelling at you about Reddit for years.
Yeah.
Telling you they'll love you. I don't know if you're like seeing that a little bit more in the returns, but
I am.
I loved RXL, but it was really it was like great time when I was supposed to be doing other things at work, and they had all these interesting Excel challenges. And now when I'm like hustling, trying to find a contract, I'm always like, should I be going out and like doing? It's like I like try to do the crossword puzzle every day, and it's like it feels sometimes I'm like, should I be doing this right now? I gotta use my brain power to make money. But you're right, I should get back into it because that's where I started. And RXL was a great place. Especially they used to have gold. I think they got rid of that.
Oh, they still have it.
Oh, they do? Well, maybe I just haven't earned it in a while. But like, yeah, to what you're saying about community, I think if you really want to create a community around yourself, like the folks who are watching, it's like you got to go with what you're good at. So I tried to do the Friday Fire series earlier this year. I'm not a video guy. Like, I mean, this is easy to sit down and yap, but like,
it takes something.
Yeah, I'm a writer. When I think of things, when I think of stuff to do, it's writing. It's not video. And I always think, how am I going to, explain this in writing? So anyone who's read my books knows I love writing. I am not a video person by any means. It's just like, it's too much work.
Yeah,
that was kind of my oh, go ahead, Rick.
No, I was gonna say, kind of what I went through is, first off, I started off with video, of course, doing the video interviews and Excel TV, et cetera. And I want to say, gosh, we put out 200 videos because not only did we, do the episodes, but, just think what it took through to edit all those, because we didn't have a virtual assistant to begin with. So the first 200 I edited myself. And what I found over time is there was a lot less of I don't know, my sense of humor, my creativity, et cetera, in the videos, because I'm not bringing what Oz is to that. And if you go to probably the Excel TV blog right now, the ones that get the most hits anyways and the most views are things that I've written. And I think it's just an opportunity to kind of get in there and actually write and be creative and tell a story and not just be here's this formula and that formula, but here's how it all weaves together, and here's how the movie War Games has to do with Monte Carlo simulation and all that sort of stuff together. You know, so again, it's just it's a kind of a different way of looking at it.
Hey, Rick, I got the chat up on the side, and I just want to give some of the comments here. Okay. So one person says, I'm the guy that honestly, they are easy and quick and to the point, but they like in their downtime to watch these videos. So I hope I'm saying your name right. Selmer said, I tend to watch some of the longer videos when they have downtime. Brandon says, videos for me depend on what I need. If it's something I'm really interested, I want to learn, or something I want to learn in and out. So some people like watching the engaging ones, and some just watch what they need. This is
a mix.
Yeah, a mix. So that's what they're finding. This is my favorite. Oz, the power user, said, "Yo, can we have a big shout out to all your fans from Panama?"
Yeah. I'll give you full camera. There you go, Oz.
Thanks. Thank you to all of my fans from Panama. Thank you.
That was it?
That was it.
I guess so. Sorry, Panama.
Is that all you got, Oz?
You know, so I'm just so appreciative of the community that because look, I'm gonna share my screen really quickly, because you know I really appreciate all of my fans, because I put a lot in, and to know that it matters, you know, I don't take this for granted. I don't take it lightly. So I'm gonna show you. You see my screen?
Yep.
This is
spoiler alert. Come on, man. Don't ruin it for me.
No. This is already posted.
All right.
But look at this. This is 12 tracks. And right here, that's where the 12 tracks are. Now, what's going on here? I'm going to show you. We can see that the boogeyman mask is affordable, but the evil clown mask,
oh my God,
is not.
Question 3.
What is this? We've got. So yeah,
you've leaned into it, Oz. You're just all weird all the time now, man. I'm loving it.
People in Panama like that?
Well, yes, and I thank them for that, really. You know, I had my friend Elizabeth do some voiceover. I asked her, can you just do question 1, question 2, question 3, say them 3 times each, so I have some choice. Then I get to break them up and pick the ones that, you know, maybe there was a stumble, or I like the really intonation on one of them, pick that one, and then put it all together and have some fun with it. And I'm tired of being inside of, you know, like accounting and finance and inventory. So yeah, so I went and got a bunch of prices of Halloween masks and said, okay, I want to pick out the ones that are less than $55. Well, buying the boogeyman mask and not the evil clown.
All right. So so go over to Oz's YouTube site to figure out
Excel on fire.
Excel on fire. So there's so we used to have in our previous episodes we had over here on the side, and I'd say, hey, next up is coming the next episode. And the way we're timing these now in season 4 is I'm down with this beer, so we're going to move on to tips. So with that, Alex, we're going to push this over to you for your tip, and I think if we have enough time, I think everybody's got a tip today. So Alex, we'll push this over to you first.
All right, let me see if I can figure this thing out. Left-hand side screen share. All right. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, see Google.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So I'm going to do flow.microsoft.com. This is another kind of product within their suite here. I'm going to do my flows. I'm just going to create kind of an automated process just with a graphical user interface. This one hopefully will be good for any of the Power Query users. I'm going to do a create from blank. I'm just do at the push of a mobile phone button so I can pull up my mobile phone app. And let's do that. I'm going to add another step. I'm going to query from SQL Server and Oz. Look at that. Transform data using Power Query. It's everywhere, man.
Yes, it is.
Microsoft's going along with Power Query. So I'm going to go ahead and do a query here. And we will see kind of a web-based Power Query experience. So this will be St. Louis weather. I'm going to do next. You notice this. It looks beautiful. It is everything in which I love. If I do advanced editor, M. Oh, loving it. So Oz here, kind of show you the future. Weather description, I can right click, easily kind of do my transformations or replace values. I can also transform the column. If I want to format, I'm just going to do a proper casing here for all of the different ones, records our values. And then I want to filter for anything where sky is clear. So kind of within the Power Query step editor, if you're already using an Excel, it feels very familiar. I can go ahead and do create, validating queries. I now have that done. Then I can do a CSV table from the value. And I don't know why this is broken. Create CSV table. There we go. And I can go ahead and save. So now whenever I run this, I can extract this and save it to my OneDrive. So if a boss was to ever say, hey, what are you doing? You can easily point to your outputs and save it just at the click of a mobile phone button. Find my phone. There we go. The reason why I wanted to kind of show this was to once again say, if you're a Power user in Excel and you're using Power Query, you're not only good at it in Excel, but you're good at it in Microsoft Flow, you're good at it in Power BI, and then you're also good at it within a kind of their common data model or their services, which is basically a semantic layer that can be shared across your entire organization. But why I feel like this is important is you're learning one skill and it applies to 5 different products.
Wow.
You are upskilling for the future. And that's why I think is really kind of important. So if I do output, once again, I don't know why this doesn't work here. So I'm going to paste it down here. File name, just CSV values, CSV, save, done. Just like that. We've created automation through a graphical user interface with Power Query.
Wow.
Very cool.
That's the future. One-click automation. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Kick it over to Oz.
Oh, my turn.
Oz, no, actually, Oz, if you wouldn't mind telling us what you thought of that.
Yeah. How many srirachas would you
How many
give?
srirachas would you give that?
Have you seen that yet, Oz? Have you seen that?
I want to know a practical application. What would a regular person use that for? Because that's what was missing for me.
Yeah, you could schedule an export from your database. So maybe this is like ETL, so your extraction transformation process, to save it to a local file storage drive for your business. So at every night you could have that scheduled to spit out a CSV for you to be working on the next morning when you sit at your desk.
Okay.
So you've automated Power Query.
So that was one project I had with the, I would have to clean up a spreadsheet every night for these people who were collaborating on it. So it sounds like I could clean it up and then they could have it automatically pulled to them on their phones.
Baby, you there. You there. No, not on their phones. You could save that to a local drive. But I could pull this up on my phone, or I could schedule it in the cloud. I could do an on-demand
Hmm.
At the push of a button.
Okay.
I could start that query. Or you could say, hey, start this query at 12 a.m. every night, or 2 a.m. whenever you feel like the data's in a good spot.
And it's better. And the benefit of doing that through Flow as opposed to logging in or going to my desktop or something. How does Flow help?
Automation. You don't want to hit data refresh all anymore, do you?
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I like automating things. So the more you can remove me from the process, the better that process is going to be, because I'm going to be like the slowest component of it, because more people will put more things on my plate. And to get back to your original ask is just going to take me longer to kind of work in reverse. I'm more of a building mindset. And I think that's where Jordan kind of specializes too, is just like future application. How can I get this thing to be as easy as possible or as automated as possible?
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to think
Now,
through
man.
some uses.
Yeah, think about it.
So that's 5 Sirachs, right?
He's got to think about it.
Yeah, it's way out there. It's in that Brainiac two minds land. Yeah.
Speaking of being way out there, Oz, I think that your tip is next.
All right. All right. My tip is next. Okay, here we go. All right. So here I have some data. You got categories, IDs, availability, and then account. So we've got this automotive item that's discontinued, and there's 6. So I'm going to use a dynamic array. And what I want to show you is about playing with these logic operators, because there are a lot of videos on using the plus for or the asterisk for and. But let's just play. Okay, I'm going to write equals, and I'm going to do filter. Where's my array? Here's my array, comma. My first criteria is going to be, okay, there equals automotive. Close parentheses. So let's do a plus for or. Now here's my next criteria, but I got to close this double quotes. My next criteria is going to be this range, and let's say equals low. Close parentheses. Next, and then if there aren't any that fit the criteria, then I'm going to have it say none. Close parentheses, enter. All right, so this is saying either automotive or low. Okay, so that's how we can see that. All of these are automotive, all of these are low. All right, so what happens if I put in greater than? What is this telling me? This is telling me, give me all of the automotives that are not low.
It's asking true or false, right? It's converting.
There's a truth table in the background somewhere, but what the operator is doing right here is saying, give me everything automotive that is not low. So we don't see any electronics, and we don't see any automotive low. So, but I don't have any in the table. So let me put this in here. Low is gone.
So what happens if you remove that 10th row up to your 3rd row? Electronics low.
What if I remove the 10th row?
If you move it up to the 3rd row.
If I make this low?
What is it? Row number 10, you have electronics low.
Row number 10.
Yeah. So if you made that your 3rd row, how would that affect it?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Oh, just copy B10 through E10 and place it in B3.
So are you one of those guys that like sit in the demo while somebody's demo and just mess everything up?
Yeah, I'm a pain in the ass in the
Yeah,
back.
totally. Can't you tell?
I'm just curious. I haven't played with these filter or the array formats yet.
So ask me that again.
Copy row 10 and paste it in your 3rd row there in your data table.
Paste it in the third row.
Yep. Oh, interesting.
Right, because it says, I want all of the automotives, but none that are also low.
So C3 you had originally as electronics. Could you change that back for me? I'm sorry, man. I'm enjoying myself.
Welcome to the show, Alex.
Yep. See, it's not going to give us any electronics.
Very cool.
Gotcha.
Right. So, and then if we did this, less than, I was saying, bring me all of the lows that are not automotive.
So, Oz, not everyone had. So this filter thing is new, right?
Right.
And not everyone has access to that filter. Like how does one get the latest? Like just to our Excel users out there, how do we make sure that they get access to these new functions?
Well, they're not rolled out yet to everybody. People on the Insiders Fast got them back in September.
Gotcha.
And so we don't know when they're going to be rolled out to everybody, but they are so cool.
Right?
There's a unique function, and that is, wow, so many times we have a whole list of stuff that's all repeated. I just want everything that's in here once. Right? Just dig that out, and we don't have to go into advanced filter, because that thing is hidden and is kind of strange to use.
It is.
But these dynamic array functions, and it's the new calculation engine, because here, I'll show you one other thing. It's not just the 7 new functions. It's also, what if I said equals upper, and I want this. Look at that. Everything is upper. So I didn't use one of the new 7 functions. I'm taking advantage of the calculation engine and applying it to something that's been around forever.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't
I
that
didn't know
crazy?
that.
Don't you remember you used to have to use Control Delete, or not Control Delete, Control Shift Enter?
Yeah. So Oz,
Yeah.
can you explain the fill error to people?
The spill error?
Yes, fill. There it is.
Spill error. Okay. All right.
See, I play nice, Rick. I'm good again. I'm in good graces.
I'd say no. I think you're getting him back for talking so much shit at the end of yours. That's relevant. Come on to you, man.
All right. So if I said, okay, so if I put this right here, and then I change this to where I want you to just pull from, now this might not work. Here, let me do this. Equals unique. And the array I want is this. Let's see if this works. No, because
item ID.
Okay. Yeah, let's do item ID. Okay, that's a spill error because there isn't enough room. And if I highlight, it's showing me now how much room I need. I need to get things out of the way. So let me move this stuff out of the way. And as soon as I move it,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the data streamer tab at all for getting streaming data sets into Excel? That thing's nuts too. Yeah. You can do anything in Excel now. It's blowing my mind.
It's crazy.
And of all the things you can do in Excel, Oz showed us something that the general user can't do. So
no, but I mean, you can become. I added this.
I'm just reading the comments section.
No, I saw that. I didn't want to interrupt because we were on such a roll. But anyone can become. I think anyone can become an Office Insider. I posted a link. But it should be out soon, and we'll have it here first. We're bleeding edge here at Excel TV.
If you have home users, I can provide the documentation to how to force insider fast, and then that way you're just like on the latest. I'll give you guys those instructions to post on the website too.
By the way, somebody gave you 6 sirachis. 6 sirachis there. That was for you, Alex, not for
For
us.
Alex.
They gave you.
Nice.
They gave you 6. I think it was Carlos. I believe we have one other tip then, Jordan.
Yes, we do. Okay, so I was going to do something quick and easy, but all these Power Query things made me think, I should use this Power Query example. I was actually going to show something else, but I threw this one together. It's really inspired by when I teach Excel, when I do it in a class, this is really something I take people through. So over here I have the years 19, let's see here, it goes from 1950 to 1994, so 45 years. And then I have the total tornadoes per each year. And over here, I have the breakdowns per each month. So this is data I got from the internet. I've used this data set through tons and tons of different examples. A lot of times when people have a data set like this, right, they may not care about the months, right? They may say to themselves, oh, I'm not really that interested in that. So they may go do something like this, right? So I've clicked year and total tornado. I'm gonna go ahead and just insert a chart here. And as you can see, it didn't insert the one I wanted because it's not picking them up right. So let's just fix that real quick. See, I'm not even doing this right. Let me hit cancel. We're gonna make this really easy on myself. This is what happens when I come up with an idea really quickly. So I'm gonna just highlight this. Let's see, this will work. I have a good feeling about this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have total tornadoes. We look at it. Here is the per year. This is based in the US, so this is real data. And you can see that it's trending upwards. So we look at a data set like this, and we may say, well, what is our predictive ability to it? So we might want to add something like a trend line. And I'm going to click display R squared on the chart. So that's about a 0.6. It's not the greatest fit. It's not the worst fit. But it doesn't really give us a sense of granularity. And in case of a trend line, you're majorly just capturing trend. You're not always capturing noise, and some effects have stronger pull on that trend line versus not. A lot of us will stop here, right? So really, the tip here I want to say is that if we have the ability to go granular, we should. So why would we stop here? Well, if we look at this data over here, it's in this crosstab format, and that's a lot of times how reports come out. And boy, isn't that annoying. If I wanted to get this into a big long format, how would I do that? Well, back in the old days, it would just be a very manual process, or you'd write some VBA for it. But in these days, we can do some Power Query to fix it up. See, so I'm not totally anti-Power Query. So what I've done is I've highlighted the table. I probably didn't need to do that, but just standard practice. I'm going to hit Control T. I could also just go to Insert Table. So I'm going to turn this into an Excel table like this. Once I've done that, I can actually put it into Power Query. So I'm going to go ahead and click Data. And where it says Get and Transform Data, I'm going to click from Table and Range. So remember, Get and Transform is the same thing as Power Query.
They went back and forth on that name. It's annoying.
Right? Power Query is like just a much nicer sounding name.
Yep.
But Get and Transform, I guess, makes more sense. So here we're in Power Query. Now, I'm not going to go through everything, but what Power Query allows us to do is transform the data super duper quickly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this total tornadoes. I don't really need this anymore. So I'm going to click it and I'm going to click remove like that. So now that I've done that, how can I unpivot the rest of these? Well, I'm going to highlight Jan. So you see it's highlighted. I'm going to hold Shift. So I'm holding Shift. I'm going to click December. You see it's highlighted the whole thing. I'm going to go over here to where it says transform. And then you see in this group, there's something that says unpivot columns like that. So I've done that, and wow, holy crap, look at this. So now it's unpivoted all of these. Isn't that amazing? I know my boy Oz here loves that. So I'm gonna hit close and load like that. I've unpivoted it. And look how quickly I did that. Now I have this new way of looking at the data. So what happens if I look at that data? I'm going to go to, let's see here. I'm going to go, we'll just highlight this whole thing. I don't think this is going to work. Nothing ever works when I don't test it out. But let's highlight this. I'll click the line chart here. Oh, it did work. Now look at this, okay? Look at this. So before we had a trend line, it did not have this level of granularity, right? So what I can look at when I look at this trend line now, right? I see seasonality, right? So we see these small little seasons here. I see that it's trending upward a little bit. And I also see that these extremes are getting larger. Look at that granularity. And even more than that, I can go back to this one here. Look, that line here, it's all right as far as prediction goes. But let's see, I'm gonna right click. Let's go, let's right click on this data set here, format trend line. I'm gonna actually set this to a moving average, right? Because that's gonna work a little bit better. But even I can play with the periods. Obviously, the more periods you get, the later it starts, the smoother it gets. But you see that these periods, it still doesn't line up very well. And I'm just sort of losing something by peanut butter spreading all those values over a year. Versus if I go here and I right click, I'm gonna add trend line. So if I'm doing some exploratory analysis in Excel and I click moving average, like I'm about to do here, unfortunately, it made this trend line a terrible color. So we're gonna make it kind of pop out a little bit more. I'm gonna make it red like that. And I don't know why it's using this terrible dash. Let's just make it like that. Okay, so you see that does a better job. Look at that. That's incredible. Look how well a moving average does in this case, in this type of weather data. Now, it's not getting all these extremes. It's a little smoother. But look how much better predictive ability we get just by saying, hey, we're going to go a little bit more granular. So this is a really awesome thing you can do in Excel using Power Query. It really allows you, if you're doing data science work, as I am, or you're just doing forecasting, it really allows you to dive in. So just remember that, ladies and gentlemen, the steps for taking your data set that's crosstab is first you make it into a table, then you go to the data tab, get and transform, select it from the table, and there you can actually work the magic. And let's be real, I'm just scratching the surface here on what Power Query can do. I literally know that example. Nothing else.
You're sitting with the messenger. You're fine, man.
Right?
Take
Power
the odds
Query
on Linda. You'll be fine.
So what are your thoughts on that, Oz?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes.
Oz, I've got a question for you on Power Query and kind of your journey.
What? Okay.
Like, because I had a point, and Jordan, maybe you'll relate to this too, where I was starting to do Power Query, and I was like, I could just do it so much easier in VBA. I'm just going to run to VBA, and it was like my safety blanket. Like, how did you power through some of the earlier struggles, or was it always something you were like, this is cool, this is awesome, or did you see the value from the get-go?
Well, me and Power Query?
Yeah. It's been around since 2011 in Azure SQL Labs.
Right.
Included in 2013.
Now see, oh man, there's so many different things. Okay, so I remember I got something from a client, and it was a pivot table that I needed to flatten. And I was thinking about, damn, do I write formulas? Do I go dig out that old video that Bill Jelen did on unwinding a pivot table? Oh man, then something hit me. I had seen somewhere unpivot. And I'm thinking, this looks like a pivot table that needs to be unpivoted. Is that what I need? So I went and digging around for this term unpivot, and boom, right there.
Hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. That was it.
So from there, I was looking at maybe 45 minutes of work to flatten that data out. But then when Unpivot did it, and then I started messing around and looking at more videos on it, and said, oh, I can separate by individual delimiters. I can split into rows. Oh man. And then when I got the joins, that was it. That was it, Jack. Because so many times I've needed to
Create relationships.
Create relationships, but also split things apart. Right. So I got all this stuff, and I got to bring it all together and dedupe it and stuff, and then split it apart again. And joins allow me to do that.
Would you say you're a relationship expert now?
Yes. Yes.
Again, I feel seduced again.
You should. Certified, bona fide, real deal, 24 karat relationship expert.
Oh man.
Make sure we put an R rating on this episode if you
No,
We're gonna edit that out. We'll edit that in post.
Yeah, we need to edit my excitement out. It's unsettling. It's unsettling.
Weird.
And so on to something completely different. Hey, Jordan, would you mind giving us your deep thoughts?
Sure. So this is part of our new segment inspired by Jerry Springer of all else, where I give you my thoughts. So look, one of the great things over the last week that happened was I got lots of mail from, and by lots I mean 5-6 people, but plenty of people. And look at all these people in the chat who are saying we're so glad Excel TV is back. And it really, over these last 2 years, I wasn't really sure if I had it in me to bring it back. I wasn't sure if people wanted it anymore, and I wasn't even sure if we returned to it, if it would be to its former glory. And so, if there are any folks out there who have done work in Excel and they think, oh, I haven't picked up VBA or I haven't picked up Power Query, I used to do these things and I don't really know it anymore. My advice to you is to keep on learning and keep on doing it, because you can pick up right where you left off, and sometimes you can even do it better. So those are Jordan's thoughts.
All right.
That was deep.
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's a lot of positivity. Can we follow that up with anything?
Say something terrible to even it out.
I pretty much said it all right there. That was worth the segment. Hey, everybody, just send me whatever it is you want to say and keep on trucking. appreciate stepping up there, Jordan. That was great.
I will say that, like, in the past couple of years, like, Excel is rapidly cool. Like, everybody's loving it nowadays, and I don't know what happened.
It's the social media too, man.
I mean, I've hunted down so many people on Twitter and on LinkedIn to just be like, hey, you're somebody, talk to me, answer my questions. And like, everybody is so happy to do it in the community. And like, it's the coolest thing to bring up at a party. Like in the past, like, oh, I kind of work with spreadsheets, but now if you tell somebody like, yeah, I love Excel, somebody's like, man, I love Excel too.
Yep,
let's
exactly.
talk all night. So
Yeah.
No one has ever
it's fun.
at a party.
I have sat at bars and start talking with people about Excel, and then pull my laptop out of my backpack, and we're the old fashions, and it's great. But then this has been helpful. Yes.
What is this chicken leg?
That is a turkey foot.
What the? This is not what I expected to happen.
Yeah, because this is for those index match people.
No.
Because they want that their religion, they respect this voodoo. I say, you come to me with that index match anti-VLOOKUP bashing crap. Yeah, turkey foot.
Wow,
go back into the woods.
That is not what I thought. I will say,
team index match.
Right, that is a back scratcher. But also, I've used Excel, these Excel jokes on Tinder dates. For instance. This goes great. If they say they do any data, I'm just like, hey, what comes after a good Excel joke? A sequel. And always.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right.
I was buying this cigar today. I'm sitting down at a cigar lounge, and this guy is talking to the lady who sells the cigars, and he's talking about something in Excel. It brought me back to, about 4 or 5 years ago. We were doing the show, and I was because I travel for a living usually. I was sitting at this bar just having dinner, and this girl was sitting next to me, and I was like, wow. And I was talking to her, and she said something about Excel, and so I was like,
yeah.
I was like, hey, check this out. I got this. Here's what I do. Check it. Mm-hmm. And she pulled it up on her phone, and she was like, you probably shouldn't tell people that.
No, they always say that.
No, hold on. Now fast forward to today. Whatever, the guys at the cigar bar and a cigar lounge, and he's like, hey, so he's talking to the lady. He says, oh yeah, you just got to do this in Excel that you haven't said. I'm like, check it. Yeah, I was like that. I was like,
yeah.
You got a phone? Check it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So with that, let's move on over to the news. So this is the part of the show where not only do we talk about what's happening in the community, but also this is like Alex and then everybody gets an opportunity to say, hey, this is where I'm plugging my so-and-so at the end of the show after the end of the interview. So we'll go ahead and go through that real quick. So first off, I'm gonna do a quick screen share. Oh, my entire screen. Yeah. Okay. So first off, I want to just bring everybody over to whenever I used to do the Excel. I just want to give a shout out to Deborah Dalglish. Whenever we used to do the news segments, we used to grab news from a lot of different places, but a go-to for me was to always start at Deborah Dalglish's Excel roundup over the Contextures blog. Now, I think her last one was is a little dated here, but there's just a lot of things that are happening in Microsoft and the events, et cetera, et cetera. So if you go over to her blog, I just recommend you go and take a look at this. It's a great place. It's a great way to get on her email list and just find out what's happening in the community. So what I would do typically is I would steal mercilessly from her and all of her hard work and just put that out in video content. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys see what's happening now. So one of the things that she had talked about is if you go over here to the Microsoft Business Applications, this is from this year, but if you go over to last year, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, they do have on-demand sessions from 2018. And if you come over here, you'll be able to see there's some on Excel. So you'll be able to view those sessions if you wanted to. And the good thing is from here, you're able to see, a lot of the different on-demand, so there it is, on-demand sessions around Excel. So there's just a lot of information right here. Secondly, I want to bring you over to Microsoft Ignite. Now they've also had, a lot of these sessions were from September, but there's also a list of Excel sessions here that you can go and take a look at. So just quite a few things that you can take a look at there as well. Also wanted to bring up the Harvard Business Review. This is over at hbr.org and all of that. But they have the 10 Excel functions everyone should know. This is a pretty good article on how long it takes to learn things. And, that if you're trying to if you're kind of a beginner in Excel and you're just trying to get to the next level in your career, before you get to some of the mastery crazy stuff that Alex and Oz and Jordan are doing, here's a good place that you can go ahead and start to learn that. Also want to bring your attention to a guy who was on our show, Kevin Lairbass. I believe, Oz, you've even done some work with him as far as putting some videos together. He's up there in Canada. He's like the 6'4", 6'5" Canadian guy. But he runs My Spreadsheet Lab, a pretty popular not only website but YouTube channel. And he has something here around things that you can do that where you just let Excel Solver do the heavy math for you. So this is a good article. I'd recommend. I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail on it, but how do you go about using Solver to make a lot of that happen? Also, Model Off. Gosh, we were all present. I think probably one of the first few times that we all three of the Jordan, myself, and Oz got together was helping to be the video arm or the media partner for Model Off in New York. And so what they do every year is after they have the Financial Modeling World Championships, after those pass, they end up having the past questions. So particularly if you're a financial analyst or even just looking to take your Excel skills to the next level, this is a good way to challenge yourself and to take a look at what those questions were. Lastly, I wanted to bring up some of the people over in the comment section was asking about the M for Data Monkey book. Well, we've had Ken Poles, who is the author. He also runs a website called excelguru.ca. He's a friend of the program. You can watch the episode live where he's actually talking about the book. But shameless plug here. Let's go over to, our training courses. You'll see the guy who wrote this book is actually did 2 of our courses. So the Excel error checking for Excel BI solutions, as well as the building BI with pivot tables as well. So go ahead and stop sharing there. And Jordan, I wanted to push this over to you if you had anything to share.
Yeah, thanks. So the first is, this is because I'm working on my own now. I'm doing consulting. So Excel TV is doing consulting now. So this is this is my livelihood. So this is my appeal to everyone. If you know someone at your organization, or if you have friends and family who could use my help, use VBA type consulting, data visualization, data science, all that stuff, let me or Rick know, because we're really trying to get in the consulting game now, and this is really something that will help me expand my career and really to keep on doing this and bring the awesome content to you. So the other thing I want to mention is that Excel TV in the next week or two, you'll be hearing about this. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me go ahead and do that. We are going to be doing a presentation, a webinar on how to think differently about data. So it's not necessarily Excel specific, but it's around the type of stuff that you can do in Excel. And it's a lot of the stuff that I talk about. I don't know if you've heard of TDWI. They have I do a talk for them that's 3.5 hours. And this is going to be a slice of that. So a lot of that stuff has come up. A lot of that stuff people have really enjoyed around data visualization. So we're going to really talk about, when do you want to do a complex presentation, when you don't, what are they indicative of? How are ways to think about this? So I have some frameworks on how to think about this and how to understand those trade-offs. So we're going to be coming out with that the next week or two. So stay tuned. I'm really excited about this.
I'll throw one more thing on there as a shameless plug. Some of those courses that I showed you, at the end of that webinar or the end of that conversation that George's going to have in about 2 weeks, there's probably going to be some coupons and some specials related to those courses. So I'd recommend that you get in and sign up, even if you're not interested in becoming a data head, just for some of the coupons you might get from that.
Yeah, and it's a free webinar. It's like what we do here. It's part of our community work.
Absolutely. So Oz, you had something to share as well?
Okay. All right. Well, of course, there is my YouTube channel, Excel on Fire, where I do spend most of my time and build most of my content. And then I will be speaking at Excelapalooza in September in Texas. So pay attention there. I'm officially speaking along with Mr. Excel, Bill Jellin. Also, I have courses at the LinkedIn/Linda Library, and this one is a weekly challenge. And it started out really basic with just formatting cells, and now it's getting into a little Power Query where I set out a challenge. Here is a problem we've got. We need to segment a list. But before we can segment the list, we got to clear holes in the data. All right, pause the video, start again. Then this one was a fun one, Excel in the real world. And then this is my Intro to Power Query course at Linda. And then I have a Camtasia video editing course. So, and I am offering a coupon code for, instead of $97, you can get it for $50, 20 people, 20 coupons, and the coupon code will be ETV19, ETV19. So there we go.
So thank you for that. And maybe we could put that link over in the show notes if we're able to get that over there in the chat section. Then also in the comments section, we'll get that. Okay. And over to you, Alex, what you got going on?
And you guys are putting me to shame. So 2018 for me was all about just showing up. So I have been involved with the St. Louis SQL Power BI or BI user group, and then also starting my own Power BI user group here in St. Louis. I will be speaking locally at the Microsoft Technology Center on February 12th for an introduction to DAX. That is the data analysis expression language. If you've never heard of it, think of Excel formulas plus steroids. That should hopefully be on a webinar or webcast. I did just get done with the local St. Louis Office 365 Saturday, which is a really good event. And I have a Power Query M slide share that I go ahead and make sure your audience gets to. Future is bright. Anyone that's kind of dedicating their time in this space, it's extremely rewarding right now. So I would just encourage everyone to kind of consume as much content as you can, because things are rapidly changing kind of in the Excel world.
Fantastic. Well, Alex, ever since you first contacted Jordan to correct his spelling, it's been hard to wait the 30 episodes to get you onto the show. But it's been a real pleasure, and it's been nice watching you grow in the community from, not only putting out what I think is a pretty unique content, a pretty unique site, But then in addition to that, a lot of the video stuff that you've gotten to do and to watch your career continue to evolve in training. So I just wanted to thank you so much for being on the show.
Shout out to Ryan Wade. He has content on your website. I got to kind of hang out with him last weekend. He is a solid dude, and his content is legit.
He's solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, yeah. So one of the courses over on our side is R with Power BI, so open source R with Power BI. And like I tell you, I met him a few times now, and he used to be a running back in college, I think, a fullback, and he is just, the guy's huge.
Yeah.
And then you meet him, you're like, hold on, you're not supposed to be that huge and smart. I tried to tell my girlfriend one time, I was like, she said, should I get you an extra large shirt or a large shirt? I said, extra large. And I'm big. And then I lost a little bit of weight. She said, oh, I thought you said you were big. But you're not big anymore? Not big anymore? That guy's always as smart as can be. So,
Yeah, I've met Ryan. He's a good guy, really good guy.
Absolutely. So thank you so much again for being on the show, Alex. We needed to have you as being our first guy as we crank back up again for season 4.
Welcome back, man. Long needed to have you guys back here, kind of putting the spotlight on everyone.
Appreciate that. And thank you for helping to guest host. It's not the same without you, Oz. So thank you so much for bringing your personality to the show.
Right.
And until next time, this is Rick Rantham along with Oz Du Soleil, Jordan Goldmeyer, reminding you to keep on excelling. We'll see you next time.